If you're in real estate, you're going to want to listen to this because I'm going to be sharing all sorts of things that's going to help you improve your career. If you can be good at two things in life, you can have everything you ever dream of. And that is number one, you get good at sales. And number two, you get great at leadership. Trust me, the customers do not care. Not the banner, not the pretty fancy reception. They don't give a crap about that. They care about the person behind the wheel who is going to steer their sale in the right direction and get them the best result. If you're thinking of changing from working in an agency to going out and having your own brand and your own business, I know what you're thinking. You're scared shitless. Of course you are, but I can tell you what. So you've mastered the market, but now you want to start winning for yourself. I'm Daniel Lee. Some know me as real estate's funny guy, but in the Get Keen podcast, we get down to business and explore what gets people really keen, how to get the most out of your real estate career, how to build a successful business and live the best life for yourself and your family. We'll uncover how to be hugely successful in real estate, setting you up to get keen and make the next big move in your life. Welcome to the Get Keen podcast. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to provide you with huge value. If you're in real estate, you're going to want to listen to this because I'm going to be sharing all sorts of things that's going to help you improve your career. Okay, but first of all, in this episode, I want to take you back, right back to the beginning of my career in real estate. I'm going to tell you all about my journey, how I started, where I got to in real estate in my sales career, and then the businesses I built, and how my business now is changing the lives of agents all around Australia. But let me take you back to the start first. So I first got into real estate when I was 22 years old. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was a bit of a lost soul, to be honest. I had done a degree at university, but that's just kind of one of those things I was forced into doing because I didn't really know what I was going to do when I was 17 years old and I finished school. All I really cared about was getting drunk on the weekend. And then I went to university, I finished that, I went overseas for a couple of years. I came back dead broke, living with my parents, and I had no idea what to do. I was in huge debt. So to get out of that, I found myself a sales job. Now picture this. You ever walked through a shopping center and there's been some people with like a table and a mat and they're selling something? You know, it's usually World Vision or some raffle tickets or something. You don't want to make eye contact with these people because you know what's going to happen, right? I was one of those guys. I had to stop every single person that walked past me. And my job at the time, I was selling Optus products. So I had to turn someone from being a Telstra customer into an Optus customer within 90 seconds. It was a really hard job, on your feet all day. And it was, to be honest, a terrible job. You would have felt sorry for me if you saw me. But what that job did is it taught me resilience. It taught me how to get thick skin. I knew if I couldn't close someone in 90 seconds, that was a commission-only job. There was no sale. There was no money on the table. People made all sorts of excuses why they couldn't sign up with me on the spot. And I had to get so good at my objection handling, you know, turning people from a no into yes by explaining why they needed this right now. So the amount of rejection I got, geez, seriously, it was more than the clubs on the Saturday night. And I just got so good at working my numbers and I really understood the power of numbers in sales. All right. So after doing that job for about 6 months, they thought I was their guy, this company. They started building a team around me because I was doing really well. I'd paid back my parents. I knew I was good at sales. I knew I was good at building quick rapport with people, letting them understand that they needed this thing, that whatever it was that I was selling. But I didn't want this job anymore. But I knew that I wanted to be in sales. So I thought, well, what can I do in sales that's gonna, make a real career for myself? And real estate had been on my mind for a little while. So I got out there and I got on my feet. I put my suit on and I went around to about 10 agencies that I thought looked really good in the marketplace. And what I did is I walked into the agencies and I asked to talk to the director. Now, that's the first piece of advice I can give to anyone that wants to get into real estate. Don't send your resume in. Get your ass in the office. Ask for the director. Look them in the eye face to face, shake their hand and say, I'm looking for a career in real estate. That's the best move you can make. So I did that with about 10 different agencies, of which all offered me a job, and I chose my favorite one. That's how I got into real estate. Now, what I wanted when I got into real estate is I knew there's a lot to learn and I didn't want to fail. So I didn't want to go straight into sales. I wanted to find a mentor, someone who could teach me the ropes, someone really successful that I could learn from. And that's why I took the job at the certain company that I chose because they had a position with a really high performer. So my first year in real estate, I started out as a very, very junior cadet, sales associate, bottom of the barrel, prospecting, letterbox dropping, all of that stuff that you know a sales associate does. But it was the best thing I could have done because I learned everything I needed to know about how to be a high performing real estate agent. I worked like a sponge. Whenever my mentor was on the phone, shout out to Wana, who was my first mentor, lovely lady, not in real estate anymore. But I was a total sponge. I sat there, and every time this lady was on the phone, I just listened. I just wrote down. I heard what she was saying. I heard how she turned people around from a no to a yes. I heard how she negotiated deals. And I took that really seriously. I knew that I wanted to be the best, but I was very, very young, and I looked very young. So it was going to be hard for me to get ahead in this business, which is mainly dominated by a lot more older people, especially at the time. Okay, so after a year and a half of doing that, it was time for me to go out on my own. And let me tell you, I hit the ground running, right? Not because I was just naturally talented. I did have a natural ability with people, but I trained myself to be the best real estate agent I could be in that year. I spent at least 3 hours on the phone doing telemarketing every single day, improving the way that I talk to people on the phone, getting super confident about how I talk to people because competence builds confidence. And I was very, very confident when I went out on my own, but I was super young looking, right? Like I always looked 3 years younger than I was when I got into real estate. So I was about 22, but let me tell you, I looked 18. And so it was really difficult for me to convince people to list their most valuable asset with me when I looked like a kid that just got out of high school. I had to work harder than any other agent to get ahead. I had to dress really, really well, really sharp to make myself look super professional. I always came prepared. And you know what? Within my first year, I overtook the market that I was working in and became number one in my first year. I got nominated for the LJ Hooker at the time. That was the company I worked for, LJ Hooker Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, I didn't win. I got pipped at the post, but I was really proud to get the achievement of at least the nomination. And then from there, I, wanted to build my business every year. Now, what I found is that in my first few years, I did quite well, but I stagnated. In my third year, I couldn't seem to move past doing more and earning more, which is what I wanted. And I realized that at that point, I needed to build a team because you can only go so far by yourself. In any business, that's the same, especially in real estate, which is what I know. If you want to be one of the highest performers in the marketplace and be able to take on, that excessive amount of listings, when you look at those top agents in the marketplace, it's not just them. They've got teams of 2, 3, 4. And I decided that I needed to build a team. So in my third year, I got my first sales associate. And I trained that sales associate with me to make those calls and be as amazing on the telephone as I was. And, I didn't make the mistake of just giving those prospecting jobs to my sales associate. I prospected as well. So I was doubling down on the amount of prospecting and the amount of opportunities that I could bring into my team. And so over the next 5 years, actually more, about 7 or 8 years, I stayed at that company for almost 10 years. And in my last few years were my most successful there. I was doing somewhere between 800,000 and 1.2 million in GCI. So that's total commission bought into the team before the agency splits off and I pay my team and I get my share. But what I learned is from that point is I really wanted to be a leader, and building a team is what was so important in my real estate career. I remember turning 30 and it was sort of a turning point for me. And at that point I decided, what do I want now? Because deep down inside of me, in my heart, I knew that I did love sales, but I really did want more. It wasn't just about the money. I deep down in my heart, I wanted to lead. I love leadership. I love helping people that are around me. I know that if you can be too good at two things in life, you can have the best life. You can have everything you ever dream of. And that is number one, you get good at sales, And number two, you get great at leadership. If you master these two things, you can have anything you want in life. I asked my agency where I was, can I have more? Can I have an entry into this business? Because I can take this business to the next level. And I truly believe that. And that's what I wanted. Unfortunately for them, they decided not to give me that. And so eventually I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to be stuck in this business being this sales team. And, I could have had, earned a lot of money doing that and been reasonably successful, but it would never have been my full potential. I knew in order to get my full potential, I had to live my dream. And my dream was to be either a part owner of an agency with some great leaders, or I was going to have to go and do this myself. And I decided that the leaders that I was with were not actually great leaders. They weren't pushing me. They weren't making decisions that were in favor of anyone but themselves. They weren't trying to look after their sales team and build the best life for their sales team. So what they were missing was actually great leadership skills. So if I was going to stay with them, then I was going to be hindered by their abilities. And I knew, although I was young, I could do this. I could lean on other mentors that I was talking to who were doing great things. And so I decided at that point, when I was about 31 years old at the time, that I was going to leave and start my own agency. And that was one of the scariest decisions I ever made in my life. Did I struggle to sleep at night, sometimes thinking, oh my God, I'm going to leave this comfortable position that I'm in at this agency I've been at for 10 years, which I know that if I stay here, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be comfortable. All right. And now I'm going to take the risk of leaving all of this and putting my own capital in and starting something of my own, which I have no brand. But I knew in my heart I did have a brand, because in real estate, if you've been in real estate for a while, you know this, right? The brand above your head doesn't mean much, all right? The brand is you in the marketplace. The brand is your service. The brand is your name as the agent that has done the work, that has done the grit, that has made the relationships with those people in the marketplace. And that's what I had. I had a reputation, I had a name for myself, and I had a really good chunk of a market. And I had more relationships than any other agent in a particular area. So I knew if I had that, then there was no stopping me and I could build my own business around that. So I made that decision. So I decided one day to do this. I started building a website in the background. And back when I did it, there was no other opportunity to partner with a model or a business that could help you run your own business. There was no such thing, okay? You either worked for an agency or you went out and you started your own thing and you did it all on your own. Okay, now I'm really lucky that I had a business partner that I took with me, which is my best friend for 30 years from high school, Dylan Simpson. He's still my business partner today. I was very lucky to have that, because having someone with me to go through that grind, to be in the trenches with me, and do the long nights, work it all out, suffer the big, hard, long days, to do that sacrifice with me was so helpful. And that's what my business is helping agents. We're providing that today, but I'll go into that later. But I had that when I started. So I started with my business partner and we had nothing, right? We had nothing but my brand. And I basically left my agency on a Friday. And when I told them I was leaving, they basically wrapped things up and said, well, pretty much you've got to go. So I was out on a Friday and I started my business on a Monday. And let me tell you something, I worked for a really big agency. They had over 1,500 managements at the time. They had about 12 to 15 pretty good sales people, including myself, and some other really, really successful agencies, some of which work in my business now, which I'm very proud to say. And I went from this big agency to going into competition with this agency. And my premises where I was going to work from was just a 2-bedroom apartment, which was a rental of mine. It was my first property, which was a rental. I got the tenants out and I actually made it into an office. So that was my premises. And I was going up against this agency that had big exposure on a main road and the nice, pretty office and the receptionist and all the gear. And I was going into competition with that out of a 2-bedroom apartment in a brick 6-pack, ugly looking thing. And, I had a website, right? And that's what a lot of people are scared about in business. Like, how am I going to go against the big guys? Trust me. That's why I was a bit scared of that as well. But when you go out and do it, you realize it's got nothing to do with that. The customers do not care. The customers care about getting the best result. They care about the best service, and they care about the person who is going to deliver that for them. Not the banner, not the pretty fancy reception. They don't give a crap about that. They care about the person behind the wheel who is going to steer their sale in the right direction and get them the best result. And I went out on my own, and the business just rolled in. From working in an apartment, and I was all on my own, and I just busted my ass. The first year in real estate, what I did is I called back every single person who I had ever sold a property to. There was about 550 of them. I called every single person who I'd ever sold a property to, and every single person who I still had the details of, who I had been in contact with and had done an appraisal for them for their property in the past, and they had not yet sold. Now, this was about 1,500 contacts. Okay, so I had these 1,500 contacts, and this took me about 4 to 5 months to just call all of these people. And I did this every single day, right? Even on Saturdays when I didn't have open homes in the beginning, but it didn't take me long to get some. And in that 6 months, I made probably about 20 sales. Okay, and in the first year, I made $900,000 in GCI in my first year, which was only a little bit less than the prior year where I had a team of 4 and I was working for the big agency and I wasn't starting a new brand and I didn't have a whole lot of different jobs on my plate. And I still managed to do $900,000 in GCI in gross commission that year and did a whole lot of sales on my own. And let me tell you, the business didn't stop. No one cared. No one cared at all that I was working out of an apartment. And here's the secret. No one actually knew because I have a beautiful website, right? I just had my PO box up there as the address. And when does a client ever come to your real estate office anyway? To pick up keys? I just meet them at their house. I'd meet them at a cafe. I'd do whatever I can to steer them away from my apartment. And on the odd chance that they found out that I was working in an apartment, most of the time, they thought it was pretty cool. They were like, that's awesome, dude. Well done for you, you know? And they were cheering me to be the underdog. They were excited for me, but they knew that they were going to get a world-class service from me. And it didn't matter that I didn't have an office. The buyers don't need you to have a great office to be interested in their house. Hey guys, just quickly, if you're loving this content and you're a real estate agent that's already thinking what it might be like to have your own real estate business and brand, then check out the show notes. There'll be a link to our Plum Partners website where you can leave an inquiry and me or one of my team members will reach out. We help agents to create, run, and grow their own real estate business and brand so they can earn more and set up a better future for themselves. So get keen, get in touch. Now let's get back to the episode. So the first year in business, let me talk about that. It was a grind because, I went from being a salesperson, which, is already, if you're going to be a high performer in real estate, that it is already a 10-hour-a-day business to, get in touch with all of your vendors, to appraise everyone you need to in the marketplace, to run all the buyers, to do all of your marketing, to look after your team, to organize your weekends. If you're going to be competitive in this business, you've got to work really hard. I don't think it's a difficult business. You've just got to hustle. You've got to do the grind. You've got to do the work. And if you're going to be really competitive, it's already 10 hours a day. Right? So I just went from 10 hours a day, which is, what a real estate agent does is we build relationships. We find opportunities to get in the living room, to talk to people about how we're the best option for them to sell their price, how we're going to get them the best result in the marketplace. Then we turn those opportunities into listings, and then we go through the sales process of selling it. And in that process, we meet a whole bunch of people who want to buy the property. We meet neighbors on the street who are interested in what it's going to sell for. And we sell the property, we market ourselves, we find more opportunities in doing so, and we repeat that whole process. You know it if you're a real estate agent, you do it all the time. That's our process, that's our 8 to 10 hours a day. Now, I own a business. Now, I got to build my website. I got to think about my marketing. I got to find out how I differentiate myself in the marketing. I got to do my bookkeeping. I got to run a trust account. I'm building a rent roll, which started on the first day. I'm doing lead generation. I was the office administrator. I was doing all the contract work. I was doing all this, organizing all the subscriptions and negotiating all those and implementing the technology. I was wearing about 15 different hats all of a sudden. So what it did is it actually just, I mean, you'll figure it out. If you go and do it yourself, you'll figure it out. I'm not saying it's impossible, but what it does is it adds another level of time and effort onto your plate. So I went from 10 hours a day to basically 15 hours a day. And man, the sacrifice in the first year, I'm going to say it was hardcore. No word of a lie. I was at the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and I didn't leave that office till about 12 a.m., at least 3 nights a week, and then maybe a 7 o'clock and a 6 o'clock, and then all day Saturday. So it was a lot of sacrifice. I had to give up doing sport in the evenings. Sometimes I had to, not be going out getting drunk on a Saturday night because I knew I had to be fresh on Monday. I had to obviously sacrifice my friends, and a lot of other stuff. I still kept myself fit and healthy though, wherever I could, but it was a big grind. And that's what you're in for if you go out and do this all on your own. I wasn't on my own because I had my business partner and he was in there with me, and, kudos to him and cheers to him for being in that trench with me the whole time. Then I needed to grow the business. Okay, so sales is going well. I'm getting some business in the door. The wheels are moving. People are starting to see my brand. I need to grow the business now. Now, what I did is I wanted to grow the business in 2 ways. Number one, I wanted to build a rent roll because a rent roll is the only value to a real estate agency at the end of the day if you ever want to sell the business. A sales team is worthless. Doesn't matter how much your sales team makes. The value of it isn't very much because all of those salespeople might not like the new leadership and they could pack up their bags tomorrow and move down the street to another office, okay? That won't happen in rental business. They're a lot more sticky, okay? So that way, the value of a rental business is actually worth something. So I wanted to grow the rental business. So that's what my business partner took care of, okay? And we had no experience. We didn't know what we were doing. In fact, we were quite naive going into it about how hard it actually is to grow a property management business. But we got it off the ground. We started working it. I was throwing leads over to him and we just worked it out. And in our first year, we had 30 rentals by the end of the year, and that was a lot of work for us because we really didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have the infrastructure to be able to hold it. We didn't have any other staff members. But after our first year, we had made 600 grand in profit. That's after paying ourselves only 70,000. Me and my business partner, so we weren't paying ourselves very much. And I went from a really high salary the year before as a salesperson to then owning my own business, going to 70,000. And this is in 2016, so that might be worth a little bit more now. But it was a big change in my lifestyle because we wanted to invest back into the business. So we took that 600,000 and we invested in upgrading to a new premises, a little house, and we got a BDM, so a business development manager who could help us to convert more rental business. And then I made the decision that I wanted to grow the sales team. So I started to go out there in the marketplace and meet with other agents and talk about my vision for my business and how I really, really wanted to grow a company with the most amazing team that had the best reputation, that had the most unique and outstanding marketing in the marketplace. And I wanted to help them be the best agents they could be. Right. And here's a tip to any agent out there or agency owner who wants to grow their team. If you want to get more salespeople to join your team, you have to make effort. All right. You have to get out there in front of salespeople and meet with them and talk to them about what your vision is, where you want to be in 3 to 5 years and how you want them to help you grow that and what you can do for them. What can you do differently for them that they're not getting where they're currently at? So that's what I did. And I met as many agents as I possibly could. And you know what? A couple of them, they said, all right, I'm in. And I started to grow the team. And all of a sudden, I put a couple of really big key players on the team that I'm very, very fortunate to have on my team still today. Shout out to Vern Gilbert, the first one to join. Shout out to Kim Saunders, second to join. Shout out to Tyler, who all joined this business within about a 6-month period. And that really took our business, our Plum Property brand, from a nothing brand to a something brand. And really, that got a lot of eyes on us from other agents. It got, 3 times as many signboards out in the marketplace, 3 times as much business, 3 times as many ads on realestate.com. And that really was the catalyst for us to level up our business to the next stage. So fast forward a few more years, that team of 6 grew to a team of 12. It grew to a team of 20. We changed premises now. We're in our 4th premises. Now we're 8 years old, Plum Property. And now, fast forward 8 years in business, we have around 50 people on our team in Plum Property. We have about 18 people on the sales team, some remarkable talent on here that's better than me, which I'm so proud. I was always wanting to move the business past being myself, which it is in the first years. It's all about you. All the listings are you. All the people know you. It was my dream to get it to a point where people saw my business and they didn't see it as me. And so when that started to happen, that's when I knew, yes, I'm really getting to the next level here. And I just focused from that point on growing the team more and helping my agents as best as we possibly can. And but I was still in sales. So for the first 6 years of this business, I was full-time sales, right? And that's hardcore. As a selling principal, and to any principal out there, I reckon it's one of the most demanding jobs in the world, to be full-time in sales and then also to be growing the business, to be putting training, to be developing all the different areas of your business, to be trying to build a rent roll, to be trying to recruit, to be doing and to be there for your people is really, really hard when you're spending so much time actually making your income for the business in sales. So I grew I had my own sales team, and then I had other people in the team. But eventually in 2021, after selling full-time in my business, and, I had an amazing team of 5, and I think I was at the peak of my career in 2021. Mind you, it was a really good year in real estate. But I was earning a lot of money at that time from the team that I have. But I decided at that point that it was time for me to step back, to hang up the sales boots in selling real estate, because I have a really deep underlying passion beneath me and in my heart, and that is that I want to improve myself as a leader. I want to be the best leader I can be. I want to help people on my team to be the best versions of themselves, because I know that if I do that, then I won't have to worry about anything. If I can help people, then they will stay with me and they will grow with me. And so I made the decision to step back from sales and Plum Property and selling property to take our business down a new path. And that was now what we do is we partner with agents all around Australia who are in the same position as me back in 2015, where you might be working at an agency and you're doing quite well. But for some reason, you don't think that that's the best opportunity for you. And that's what it's all about. If you have a fantastic opportunity and you're super happy where you are and you believe that you're on a ship that's gonna make the most out of your life, then that is awesome. Congratulations to you for finding that. But there's a lot of agents out there that feel like I did, that there is something more out there, that where they're at isn't giving them everything they need to be. That's what our company is designed to do now. What we do is we partner with agencies to help them make that move to transition to the next phase in their career, to become their own brand and their own agency within a marketplace. And it's super exciting to be taking agents on that same journey that I was on 8 years ago now. All right. And so now that business that we have is called Plum Partners. That is our subsidiary business, which is growing very rapidly. And we're so proud to be, helping some fantastic agent and talent to make that move, because it is a scary move. I'm not going to say it was easy. It was super scary. You don't know what's on the other side. And, when you're comfortable in an agency, that's what happens to a lot of agents, right? It was happening to me. You know what you're capable of in that place, in that environment. You know what you're earning. You're still living an all right life. You're paying the bills, you're paying your mortgage. But is it the best? Is that bringing out your full potential? A lot of agents never discover what their potential is because they're too scared of what's on the other side, right? So that is what Plum Partners will alleviate for all agents now, is there is no fear what's on the other side. Because what's on the other side, if you were to join a business like Plum Partners, is you've got all the help in the world. You've got a supportive team who is world-class, who has done this journey and has done this journey now 25 times with other agents out in the marketplace, and that's growing rapidly. And you're going to be fully supported from transitioning from being in an agency to now running your own business. And we're so proud to have 25 agencies on board with us now. And so I'll just discuss the first 18 months of Plum Partners, how that's been. And again, I had to make that really scary move of going, I'm going to give up a full team of sales and income to now, that my income was a big part of the business, right? Because, you can think of my other agents when they're selling. When they sell something, the agency splits the commission so that the agency doesn't get everything. But with my commission, that went all to the agency and I just paid myself a salary. So me giving up sales income for the business was a huge step back in income for the business. And now I've got to go out and start all over again with another new business with 0 clients and a lot of expenses. If you're thinking of changing from working in an agency to going out and having your own brand and your own business, I know what you're thinking. You're scared shitless. Of course you are. What's on the other side? I know you're comfortable where you are, but I can tell you what, if you take a bet on yourself, it's the best bet you can make in life. You know exactly what you're capable of. You know the work ethic that is behind this, all right? You go invest shares in a company, you don't know what's happening in the background. You just hope and pray that it's going to do well. When you take a gamble on yourself, you know exactly what you're going to do to make yourself successful. And all you need to be is better than anyone else in the market. You need to outwork them and you need to be great at what you do. You need to provide excellent service. And if you do those things, the business will come. That's all you need. And it's a mindset. You've just got to believe that you can do it. And you can. Anyone can do this. Guys, if you made it through this episode, then you want to level up your life in real estate. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm going to be interviewing guests. I'm going to be talking about my journey. I'm going to be talking about how to build the best sales team and make as much money as possible. That's why we're in it, right? But you got to provide great customer service. You got to be good to people and you got to have the mindset to do it. Let's talk about what you want me to talk about. Leave a comment below about what you'd like to hear. On that note, guys, let's get keen and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into the Get Keen podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please show your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure you subscribe on your favorite platform too. Don't stop there. Join our community of forward thinkers by connecting with me on social media at Dan_Lee_Plum. I'm looking forward to exploring more strategies and insights with you on your journey to the top. Until next time, keep getting keen.